Hello, Jeannie.
Hello, Benoit.
Such a pleasure to have you here.
It's very much a pleasure to be here.
It's actually it means a lot to me, as you probably know. Cunningham technique has a lot of resonance in my life and also made me who I am, I believe. I studied Cunningham, as you know, and I was always fascinated by the technique itself, because the technique gave me strength, and it was combined with ballet, and in the conservatory, this is what we did. So fast forward 30 years almost,
Yeah.
and I am here, and we have the opportunity to remount, and actually it's not even a remount because you're going to explain it, this performance called The Event.
Yes.
Would you mind explaining us what it is?
So the event is a format that Merce created in order to allow audiences to see many different versions of his work. So a lot of times, in a repertory performance, you only see three, maybe a triple bill, so three separate pieces. But this was an evening-length work, 90 minutes, made up of several different sections of multiple pieces, and sometimes being performed independently, sometimes being performed together. So it was more of an experience of dance rather than a specific, dance piece. And he also created it in order to allow for the opportunity to perform in unconventional spaces. So not just a proscenium theater, but in a museum, in a gallery, on a beach in Australia. That's one of the places I got to perform an event. So all these different opportunities arose out of this idea of displacing movement from the theater, the classical theater, and allowing it to happen in the world.
This really fascinates me. As you know, in the past I've made a lot of installations, so the immersive quality of this work is amazing, as far as, like you said, different settings. And to me, I had the opportunity to see it last season in a museum, actually, in Switzerland.
Yes,
I believe.
in Bern.
In Bern, that's it. And it was truly, when the dance happened with the music, which we'll talk in a minute, you really felt that you were immersed in the work.
Absolutely.
And you had different point of view, options to see it in a different ways, sitting, standing, on the stairs. And I felt actually spirit there.
Absolutely.
And to me, I always told you, we have this opportunity this year to, because it's the centenary of, his birth, right? 100 years old.
Yes, very important.
So we're all trying to honor him and give him tribute. And the Rambert, I think, has a special way to do it, because we have a long relationship with the man.
Very long, 37 years.
37 years.
37 years. I think it's the longest that any company has been doing Merce's work outside of his own.
So the events that we are going to dance and perform, did you pick all those pieces from the repertory that we had at Rambert?
That's correct, yes. I took sections from all of the dances that have been licensed by Rambert over these last 37 years. And then created kind of a collage or a giant celebration of this relationship between Rambert and Cunningham.
Talk to me a bit about the music, because that's very interesting as well.
Yeah, it's always the most shocking part, I think, for people to understand, is that we really don't have any association with the music prior to the first performances of a work. Merce's idea, I think, with his collaborators was to have an independent experience and then to allow those experiences to come together. So each part, the dance, the design, and the music, are all independently visible and able to be viewed or listened to on their own. They are complete works. However, when they come together, they create something brand new that none of those collaborators might have even expected. So it's quite a wonderful way of working in terms of, kind of releasing the ego, or trying to get away from this idea of, creating a specific kind of mood and allowing whatever mood or experience to be created in that moment to occur without the impact of, let's fix this and make it something specific.
I see.
It also gives the opportunity for the audience to have their own experience.
I see. So maybe you can talk about the music itself, like who is doing it?
I can.
And
Well,
us.
and again, this was such a fortunate occurrence. Philip Selway of Radiohead had worked with the company, the Cunningham Company, when I was still dancing in 2003, along with his bandmates Radiohead, for a piece called Split Sides. And later, I think it was in 2005, we came here to do a series of events, actually, at the Barbican. And in those events, the music was completely improvised. Different musicians were playing, and one of the nights Philip was playing. So I guess it was around 2013, I ran into Philip at a Rambert performance. And I knew that this event was being talked about as a possibility, and I asked him if he would potentially be interested in composing for dance again, and he assured me that he was very interested.
He's amazing.
Yeah, it was very lucky kind of happening. He's very much a fan of dance in general. He loves Merce's work, but he's very much a fan of dance in general. He goes to see everything, and he was already a fan of Rambert. So it was just a really wonderful happening for us both to be able to come together, having had this past in this new way. I think what's great about the music that Philip and Adam Ilhan and Kath Mann created initially is that, like the Rambert event itself, it's divided into different modules. So it too can be reorganized and reaffected in order to have a new experience of the dance and the music coming together in a new way. So that's what will be happening at Sadler's Wells, and further into our tour. We'll have a totally new experience. We did this piece initially in 2014 in the studios, as you know. It happened in one way, and now it's going to happen in a completely new way with the same material or a similar, but again, we now get to totally re-envision Merce's work. You know, it's evolving even as these years continue to pass, even without him here.
So they're truly using as well his philosophy.
Yes,
as
exactly.
far as for the music.
Yes, we had no communication. I simply gave him the length of the event as I wanted it to happen, and that was it. He didn't see any performances. We heard and then, the thing is that for the dancer too, I have to say, and for the audience, I think, we rehearse in silence. This is another thing that some people find quite shocking. But Merce's work is very strengthened by the internal rhythms that exist within it. So when I teach the dancers the movement, I'm teaching them the same songs, the same rhythms that Merce taught me when I learned these dances. And this is what's actually carrying the dance, the internal rhythms, and then the dancer's communication and engagement with one another. This is how they're staying together. The music is just a new part of that, but it's not dictating anything. So it's existing in the same space. And what comes out of that, Merce and John used to say sometimes happy accidents. So you might see something that looks like it was absolutely choreographed to the music, but I can assure you it was not. I think when the dancers get an opportunity to dance with this new element added, it also enlivens and renews their interest and maybe helps them to find new things in the movement they might not have been able to explore yet without it. So it's quite an interesting relationship.
I think for a repertory dancer, it's a gift to be able to perform this type of work, because as a dancer, even when I was a dancer, yes, I was once upon a time.
You still are.
I'm very influenced by the music. So to be challenged to create within my body a certain rhythm that's not linked to the music.
Exactly.
It's a challenge, but as well it's a discovery, it's a journey for the artist. And I do believe that the repertory that we can offer as in Rambert is that you do something like this, but you might do something completely different with different philosophy, different rules, and he enriched the dancer. I think their palette, the way they are dancing, and even their career, to be able to experience this kind of work.
Absolutely. I think, for the dancer now to experience this work, understanding that, for instance, your relationship to music. Sometimes I think we're relying on the music, but actually we're responding. So the rhythms that we're responding to are inside of us already. We already have this feeling of movement and music inside of us, rhythm. And so we're responding to this external impetus or stimuli. But actually it's being generated from within inside of us. So I think when the dancer realizes that, it maybe starts to shift their relationship to the dances they do with music, number one.
Yeah.
I think that this work requires of the dancer not just a complete physical commitment. It's very hard work physically. But it also requires an intellectual commitment to be very present, to be very aware. Yeah, to be so aware of not just what they're doing, but to be aware of what everyone else is doing, to be able to take cues from one another and still maintain this very high standard of technical and virtuosity, really, and technical ability. I think, too, not having a narrative and recognizing that it's just about what you bring of yourself brings a very new sense of engagement and who I am, who they are as dancers, as people. Because Merce was very interested in people. He was very, he worked with computers very much toward the end of his life, but he always wanted to choreograph on people. And that was because each new human being brings something new to the experience. And I think the dancers of Rambert have always been, in the 21 years I've been staging work on this company, have always been so open and willing to bring their full self to this work. Yes, it can be confusing and a little bit different from what they've done in the past, but they're always very open and honest and authentic when they bring themselves. And I think this is the thing that's such a pleasure and a gift for me working with this company. And now with you taking over, it definitely feels like that tradition is still very much a part of this institution. I'd like to think that the dancers will walk away from this experience feeling stronger in their own body and feeling that they are much more capable, perhaps, to bring themselves to any form of movement, any repertory, having had this experience.
Well, thank you, Jeannie. It's really a gift for us.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.